A look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC, and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, greetings. Welcome to another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. This is program number 943, coming to you on Monday the 22nd of July 2019. On this program, I will speak to you on the topic, Put It in Writing. But before getting into the topic, a few preliminary comments, beginning as usual with condolences to all families which have suffered recent bereavements. And in that connection, I want to mention three families in particular. The Ballantyne family, that is the family of Mrs. Gloria Ballantyne, who was laid to rest last week. And then the family of Mrs. Nichols of Green Hill, Mr. Nichols, Mr. Leroy Nichols, and the rest of the family, my deepest condolences to you. And the family of Mrs. Stewart, Monsignor Michael Stewart's mother of Sion Hill, my deepest condolences to all of you and to all families, particularly those who have suffered sudden and tragic deaths. Secondly, I would like to congratulate Her Excellency Mrs. Susan Duggan on her appointment as Governor General, taking effect from Thursday this week, the 1st of August. And in the same breath, let me thank, on behalf of my viewers, outgoing Governor General Sir Frederick Ballantyne for having done such a marvelous job in the very many years in which he held the position of head of state. So our first female head of state has to be saluted, and the march of women in the higher levels of administration continues. Power to the women. Now, the youth of the Spiritual Baptist Archdiocese had their conference on Sunday at Mount Sinai Spiritual Baptist Church at Carré, and I understand that everything went very well, so my congratulations on the chief organizer, Brother Deacon Keithron Malcolm, and all the members of his organizing committee for a job well done. And that's it for preliminaries. Put it in writing. How many times we become disappointed when a relative, usually an elderly relative, dies, having said many times that he or she intended to give so-and-so to this or that son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, but never got around doing it, and then death intervenes. There's a very important reason why certain transactions must be evidenced in writing, otherwise the law takes no cognizance of them. You see, after somebody has died, you can't go to court and say, well, they had told me they would give me so-and-so. If it was not in writing, it is no use. Whatever they not mean, nobody is doubting your sincerity. Nobody is saying they didn't tell you that, but the law cannot act upon a mere spoken word in cases of transactions of certain natures. If a gift of personal property had been made to you in the lifetime of the owner of the property, and there was a witness, then in most cases the person who was intended to receive that gift would get it. For example, somebody lying on their sick bed could say to a relative, you see this necklace or this pair of bracelets, I want you to have it. And hand it to them, and witnesses are present, that's fine. Because that is what is called personal property. But when it comes to real property, that is land and house and land, you can't give a piece of land by word of mouth. No matter how many witnesses are there to hear you say you want to give a parcel of land to your favorite grandson. So the law draws a distinction between personal property, which are things in civil law they are called movables, that is, things you can take from one place to another. A distinction is drawn between movables and immovables. In the civil law system, immovables refers to land and interest in land. Among the situations in which it is crucial that interests in land should be given by writing is the situation of persons who are living together as man and wife but are not married. This is a point I have made over the years. The law and you is now in its 22nd year of existence. I've been saying this for a long time. Those who are living together in an unmarried state are running a risk that when one dies, usually the male partner, the female partner who hasn't got anything in writing to say what she should get is at a big disadvantage, because before the man is properly buried, the relatives are going to come around making noise. They want this, and in fact, some of them don't even make noise. They come and walk in the house and take what they want. And you, the woman who had lived with this man for so many years, took care of him through thick and thin, nursed him when he was sick, brought up his children, slaved for him. If he has done nothing in writing to say, well, so-and-so belongs to you and so, you have a rough time with family, his family, if he dies. So that where you all are living together and you all come to the decision that, for example, you, the woman, should get a share in the property in which you are living. You met him with the piece of land, and then you struggled with him over the course of time, built a house on the land, had children. Title deed is still in his name. or it might have been land he got from his family. He dies without going to a lawyer to get an agreement drawn up, or dies without making a will to say he's leaving a half share or a 2/3 share to you, then you are in peril. Because people get vicious over deadlift. Relatives who hardly knew that your common law husband existed never came to look for him to find out how he is doing, if he needed any help and so on. When he dies, they are coming to look for a share in whatever he left. They don't know how he got it. So they want to walk in, take furniture, take fridge, take TV, take animals, just because you are vulnerable and you don't have a piece of paper to show that he had intended you to get this and that. So that where you plan to share in the property, go to see a lawyer at the earliest opportunity. And if, for example, he is bedridden and can't leave the house, you'll find a lawyer who would be willing to drive to where you live and take down his desires, go back to the office, prepare a document, bring it back, preferably with a justice of the peace or a notary public, or better still with a deputy registrar. Read it to him, and when you have ascertained that those were his wishes, get him to sign. If even he can't write, he can touch the pen in the presence of the notary public or the registrar, who according to the law is an official attestor, and you have that registered at the registry. If it's a will, you keep it safe so that if the time comes when he dies suddenly, your position is secure. But to agree to something in the home and not do anything about it by way of getting it in writing, properly signed and legalized, is to be making a sad mistake. Don't wait until it is too late. Don't say, well, he couldn't walk enough to come to town, I was waiting until he get better. No, don't wait, go to a lawyer. The lawyer will organize to come there with somebody official to do it in the home. Unless the man is in a coma, well, a person who is in a coma, that is, who cannot respond to questions and who cannot indicate what his or her wishes are, cannot execute a document having legal force. And in any case, if he's in a coma, he ought to be in a hospital. So don't use the fact that he is bedridden or she is bedridden as an excuse to keep putting off and put off. And don't say, well, you can't find the money to go to a lawyer. It will cost you much more to fight off greedy relatives than it will cost you to get a lawyer to prepare a document for you in a proper manner. to safeguard your interests. Usually when people cohabit, that is when they live together as man and wife, usually the husband is much older than the common law husband is much older than the common law wife. And the actuaries tell us, and our own experience shows, that men in a relationship tend to die before the woman. I know there are cases where the woman dies first, but the majority of cases, the man goes first. And the woman is left behind with several more years of her life to run. But in uncertainty, all because the precaution was not taken to organize the affairs of the couple in a legal manner, so that if that steps in, both parties are secure. Whoever survives can know that, okay, I have my rights and they have been recognized, a document was signed, and I have got what is mine. Why I say that? The reason is this. Usually, when a man in a non-marital relationship dies, assuming it's from natural causes and not a sudden accident, by the time he is buried, the woman in the relationship, if she is not already earning money, it is too late for her. She is too advanced in years to go and get a job. And she will have years of her life to live, and finds herself having to face relatives who want to throw her out of the home that she sweated with the man who was deceased to build and bring up children, his children. He may have had other children apart from the ones he had with you. And they may be coming to look for their share of what daddy had. And when daddy was alive, they didn't have him to study. That is human nature. So that don't put off these decisions, and having made the decisions, act on them as soon as possible. Get legal advice and have things properly done. And don't be satisfied with having somebody roast up a document and bring it and say, okay, they're going to let him sign because they know what they were doing. Make sure you get proper legal advice. The situation affecting you and a common law spouse may differ from that of a neighbor and her common law spouse. And don't say, okay, they went to a lawyer and they got the documents, so you're going to copy their document and use it and let him sign that. It might not be the same situation. Always check it out. You see, prevention is better than cure, and in legal matters, prevention is always less expensive than cure. You know, when you have to go to court, over land or interest in land, you're going to spend at least $4,000 to $5,000 on legal fees. But it is not going to cost you even $1,000 to get documents properly drawn up. $600, $700, $800, you could get a nice little agreement drawn up in proper form to protect your interests. But if you neglect to do that, and time runs out in the form of death stepping in and taking your loved one, then you have to find thousands to go and defend your interests and your rights in court, if indeed it will ever be possible for you to defend your rights in court. Courthouses to be avoided by acting before it is too late. Don't put it off. Because these days you need a secure future when your common law partner dies. And not only death, but you and a man may be struggling together, build up what you have, and the time may come when he gets tired of the relationship, or you even may get tired before him, and you all find you can't live together, and you want to go your separate ways. The man will be quick to tell you, go on by your business. You have nothing here, go on. You who would have spent years of your young life when you're strong, helping him to build up and put together what he has. The time may come when he may tell you, go by your business. You have nothing here. And want to put you out, and next thing he walls in somebody else to taste the fruits of what you've sown. Now, never mind the man may say to you, yeah, we have time, where was Russian my dad for? They really don't bother with them. You secure yourself. And I'm saying that preaching more to women than men, because in these matters of common law relationships, it is usually the man who gives the woman a rough time. It is usually the man's relatives who, if death steps in, want to waltz in and claim what he had, and telling you may have nothing there to get. Go by your business, go meet your family. So that I'm not saying that women can't be on the wrong side and men on the right side, but usually it's a case where the men are the ones who give the woman a hard time. The woman brings up the question of marriage, and men don't want to hear that. Assuming the man is not married, because you have some men who are married, left their wife, and gone and live in a common law relationship with another woman. Well, if he didn't get a divorce and the wife is still alive, there's no way he can marry you. And in that case, if he has been living with you for, 10, 15 years without getting a divorce, you should ask him, well, what is my position? And take him to a lawyer. Let the lawyer advise what is the best solution in those given circumstances. But don't be afraid to raise these questions if you're a woman and the man is still married, still have his wife, because unless they get a divorce, he is still legally married to her. And if he dies without making a will while he's still married to somebody, no matter how many years they were not living together, she is still in the eyes of the law, the lawful wife, and would be entitled to 1/3 of everything he possessed when he died if he did not make a will. So where you find yourself in a relationship with a married man whose marriage has failed, encourage him to take proper steps to bring the marriage to a dignified end. And if he give you any bramble talk, you yourself go to a lawyer, put the case to the lawyer, and the lawyer will advise you. And you will know if the man just giving you a German just to keep you quiet and so on and so on. Because you have the interest of yourself and your children that you have with him to study. I mean, in all my years of practicing the law, I have seen examples of sheer evil, wickedness from some people, aided and abetted by greedy, licorice, worthless relatives who may not have liked you in the first place and who will do anything possible to spite you. You have to look out for your interests and those of whatever children you have with the common law man that you're with. Get up and get. Don't sit down and play careless and let time pass and then say, Lord, if I didn't know. Well, you know now because you've heard it over and over again from me on this program. So you can't say, if I didn't know. You know. And since you know, go and look for advice. And insist that the man does the right thing. Now, if it is that you have not put anything at all into the property, the man did everything without you, you didn't help, well then you can't look for what, you can't look to reap what you didn't sow. So I'm speaking of the cases where your sweat went into the building up of the property. And if you know honestly that you toil and sweat, and remember I told you the law now is that never mind the man had a job and was working for wages which he brought home, and you, the wife, or the common law wife, were at home bringing up children. The law now says that a woman bringing up children and maintaining a home is to be regarded as making a contribution almost equivalent to that of the man who was working for a salary or for wages. So the law recognizes the value of a mother's input into the family. You know, some men would, when a relationship goes sour, they come and say, well, look, I'm the one who used to work and so on. You ever work anyway? Well, if she had children, yes, she worked. Bringing up children is a full-time job. And the law recognizes that. So as I close off the program, let me implore you once again, if you are in a situation where your position needs to be secured, go and get legal advice, and the lawyer will guide you what to do to make the position secure. And if your gentleman you live with is always making excuses and doesn't want to sign anything and so on, pinch yourself. Because that person may have no good intention towards you. Pinch yourself. All right. Well, that is all from this program, The Law and You, program number 943. I look forward to being a further service to you next week, Monday DV, for another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. Do enjoy the August Monday holiday on Thursday. The authorities said they're not bothering to do August Monday again. All right. Have clean fun, take care of yourself, and may the good Lord continue to bless all of us.
The Law and You. A look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You. Presented by lawyer panel R. Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.